It's the Time Excellence Show, episode 101. Hi, I'm Douglas Calvin, and on the Time Excellence Show, we prospect for time, discovering nuggets of time opportunity to make more of a difference in your organization, your career, and your personal life. Today's episode is a great one. We're going to be looking at time tips, talking about time crunched epidemic. And you wonder, why do I use epidemic? Well, listen, and we will be discussing that very subject. Then we're going to be looking at our You Can't Make This Stuff Up section. We're going to be talking about a TV non-service event that we can learn some time lessons from. And finally, making more of a difference, we're going to be talking about high school senior Nicole as she promotes kindness. That's all on today's show. So relax and let's get started. Time tips. You know, time crunched is a epidemic level today. Epidemic, if we had the kind of time crunched impact with any disease, we would be talking about the epidemic proportions of that disease. Well, the time crunched epidemic is one that we are all participating in. We're on one side or the other of this epidemic. And today we're going to be discussing that. You know, time is at the center of our lives and one of our scarcest resources. Time. Think about it. Everything revolves around that view of time, and you can't get it back. Once you spend it or don't spend it, once you let it go by, you're not going to go back and say, you know, I'd really rather have that back. Some things in life we can go back, get them, recover it, take it out of the trash can, we threw it away. No, it hadn't been picked up yet, let me take it back out. So time is at the center of our lives, and it's one of our scarcest resources. And it affects all parts of our life. It affects our organizational, our career, and our personal growth. So here's the ugly fact. In a Gallup survey that's been going on for years, the most recent survey said that 48% of feel time crunched, meaning that they don't have enough time to get what they want done. 48%, that's as close to being able to saying 1 in 2. Almost 50% are time crunched, cannot get enough done. That, again, if it were a disease, would be epidemic levels, 1 in 2. So when you go to the grocery store, look around. Half of those people at least are time crunched. They are rushing. They're not feeling like at the end of the day, we got done what we needed. They are in a time crunched situation. And that's not good. Now there's another side of this though. Those that are time crunched, there's another 52% of adults that don't feel time crunched. And the way I look at that is real simple. If I'm time crunched, I'm not getting done what I think I should be getting done. So either side of time crunched, we've got opportunity and or challenges that we can do better. And that is what this show is about. The Time Excellence Show is about exploring and maximizing time to make a difference today. In fact, we make more of a difference today. All of us are making some difference. So the question is, if we looked at our time in a different way, how much better could we do? And that's what this show's about. It's not about, this is the software to use. It's not about focus. It's not about working harder. It's about looking at the entire process in our individual unique lives and moving forward so that we can make a difference in those areas that we feel we should be making. It provides time keys. We're going to be talking about keys that are game changing. They're game changing in our organizational, our career, and our personal growth. Well, organizations, if you are in an organization, your time is important. That time is being used for the organization. And if you happen to be in a supervisory or leadership role, you are accountable for many, many, many lives and the time thereof. Those processes are under your jurisdiction. And those that can handle and understand time and know the principles of uniquely optimizing time will further that organization's goals. That ties directly to the career. So those that can manage time and use time effectively are often called boss. They're often called supervisor. They're often in a progressive leadership role. It changes your career and your career path. But most importantly, possibly, is the personal side. Those of us at home with our relationships and our challenges and all the things we've got to get done, we can get better at those at home and in our personal life and in our personal time. That's what the Time Excellence Show is about. In it, we are going to discuss, and you will be very familiar with, the 3 phases and 7 simple steps that can impact our time. And it can impact it today. It's important. It's exciting. And that's what this show is about. So I invite you to continue to join us in this show. We will be back in just a moment. Time excellence, the key to making more of a difference today by maximizing time for organizational, career, and personal achievement. I invite you to join us for each episode of the Time Excellence Show to write an even brighter chapter in your life. One of hope, growth, and purpose. The Time Excellence Show, prospecting for time together. You can't make this stuff up. Have you ever said that? You're trying to tell a story to someone and you say, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today. You just can't make this stuff up. Well, that's this segment. This segment 2, we're going to be talking about an event that happened to me not long ago in the TV areas. Everybody or many people have TV services that they buy a service to get television to them and movies, etc., etc. Well, the other day, I went through what I thought would be a simple process, and it turned out to have some time lessons in it. So we're going to take a look at that very briefly and see if we can learn something from that. And it involves the returning of some equipment. My wife and I had, for a long time, rented some equipment that gave us TV service, so many channels in such definition, etc. And the time for that technology was getting old. So we had to return some equipment. We actually went to another service. And so I made a call. But before that call, what I didn't do is think about what time do I have to waste? You say, well, why would you have thought of that? Well, I normally wouldn't have. But in this instance, as I look back, I should have asked myself, how much time am I going to waste on this? Why? Because the process I had to go through to simply convert equipment and get it back to the supplier was quite an experience. So I had to return some DVR type receivers and equipment. So I made a call. And that call was simple. Okay, I need to return this. I'm going to move to a different technology. It's more modern, have it a long time. And so they said, fine, here is the instructions, we're going to send you boxes and we're going to charge you for those boxes, but send us that equipment back. I said, okay, well, I guess if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. Well, after a week, nothing happened. And so call number 2 happened. I called them back and asked them, where is this equipment? It hasn't showed up. And they go, oh my, it hasn't? So we are going to have to send it to you again. Well, you probably know how that went. After another week or so, and I've only got 30 days to get this back, I made call number 3. And I talked to the person and they said that they apologized. We don't know what's happened, but I'm going to change your address. This was at a different, the billing address was different. So they were going to change the address. And by the way, my equipment was obsolete and they didn't really need it back. But instructions would be coming with the boxes. Well, let's think about that a minute. You're going to go to the expense of sending me boxes to give me the instructions on how not to send the equipment back. And she said, yes, we have to follow procedure. So I said, okay, well, this is the 3rd time. Follow procedure. Let's try this. Well, you can imagine what happened. No boxes again. So I called the 4th time about the same subject. And finally, someone with what I would call common sense and knowledge talked to me. And she got on the phone and she said, let me look up your account. Oh, I see. Yes. No, that equipment's obsolete. You don't have to send it back. I said, well, I know I don't have to send it back. People have told me that, but you said they have to send boxes. No, we won't have to send boxes. We don't have to do anything. You don't have to do one thing at all. You're done. Well, that was common sense, but it took me 4 times to get through to that. And as I went through this experience, I thought about our listeners and said, you know, this is a great lesson in 1, who we do business with, and 2, how to run a business or how not to run a business. The time wasted, if I estimated it, it was probably by the time we get the waiting and the account numbers in and get to the person, they look up the account, we talk it back and forth, probably on average 10 minutes per call. Could have actually been more. I made 4 calls, so that would be 40 minutes. And 2 people's time was being wasted. Every time I had someone on the line talking about the returning of equipment. So there were 2 people involved. That's 80 minutes of wasted time. 80 minutes. So I go back to the starting question in this segment. Do you have extra time to waste? It took 40 minutes of my time, 40 minutes of that company's time, and no value added because at the end, nothing had to be done. 0. There wasn't a transaction needed. I didn't need to even go to a website. I had nothing to do. So what lessons might we learn when we go through things like this? When we see time waste, how should we be thinking? Well, number 1, training. Obviously, I went through 4 different people and their training was different. So that organization does not have what I would call a successful training program. That's the first thing. They can learn from that. Number 2 is the communication. What were those people told? What was I being told? It was different. And so even if they didn't know, they didn't seem to be able to quickly communicate with their systems and get the right answer other than the 4th person. So there's a communication gap. I suspect there's a leadership gap. They should be excelling in understanding their customer experience. They are in a very competitive marketplace. And I was waiting for a survey. How did your service go? Sometimes you get those. I would have given them feedback. Send me a survey. Here's how you did. You might want to look at your processes. And I got none. That frustration probably never hit any internal metric. I'm just guessing at this, but from what I can tell, I doubt their leadership knows they've got a big hole. And I would be very influenced if I made a decision in the future about this company. So what we might do as individuals, when you see that, when companies or individuals are wasting your time, learn to work with companies that respect your time. Learn to work with them that can actually appreciate your time, that give you quick service, that don't put you on hold. You don't call them to go into voicemail. You don't call them to wait 24 hours. You don't call them to get the wrong information. So iterate your life when you see chronic problems, and this was a one-time instance, but when you see chronic problems where you're waiting, you're having to sit in waiting rooms too long, they don't stay on schedule, that's not showing respect for your time and our time. So we want to think about what we can do better, and that will free up time. That simple process that we go through will free up time for making a difference in what matters most to us. We'll be back in just a moment. Time excellence, maximizing our time to make more of a difference through game-changing organizational, career, and personal growth. Take the next step. Save your spot in our free Time Excellence Training webinar, revealing the 3 phases and 7 steps to your new tomorrow at douglascalvin.com/webinar. Segment 3, making more of a difference. Wouldn't we all love to do that? Wouldn't we just love to make more of a difference? But we don't have the time often. We don't have the plan. We think that we can't get that. Well, sometimes I like to be motivated, and hopefully you do too, because we've got a little example of what someone can do for others. And this is an example of someone very young, a high school senior. Now, when I was in high school, I wasn't making the kind of difference I think I should have. I was all into baseball and friends and all those type things, but not the kind of usage of time that I would brag about today. And we're going to learn about a high school senior called Nicole, who promotes kindness as her goal. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at her. Well, Nicole Gia is her name, and she has been voted Miss America's Outstanding Teen in 2015. Now, I wasn't familiar with what an outstanding teen is, and so I looked it up and found out that the Outstanding Teen program encourages positive goals in 3 areas: scholastic achievement, creative accomplishments, and community involvement. So to get elected for this, you've already got to be a serious student. You've already have to have accomplishments that you can point to, and you've got to be involved in the community. You're looking outward and acting on the outwardness, and that is exciting. So she was voted this for 2015. And she chose a platform of This Little Light of Mine, emphasizing the need for kindness. So she is going to shed light on kindness. So she is using her time to benefit others. And she recognizes the time challenge at this young age. One challenge, and I'm quoting, one challenge that many of us encounter is the lack of time in our busy schedules. So she recognizes already that with all of her activities and community involvement and studies and accomplishments, that there is a time crunch situation going on, and she is young in her life. Although I know this year will be very eventful and filled with exciting opportunities, I remind myself that it wasn't by my own abilities that I won this title, but through the power of believing in God. So we get a sense or evidence that she is founded in where her priorities are. She is founded in what makes a difference for her. And she goes on and asks a question. Why don't we use our time to document people doing good for others instead of pictures for ourselves or selfies? So that's a great question. And in this article, there's the article is one that really points out, and it's titled "From Selfies to Selfless Living." How good is that? From selfies to selfless living. So it's sometimes good just to stop and be inspired by what other people are doing, and not be worried about how am I going to look in this picture at the restaurant, and I take different views, different angles, because I'm going to post that, and I want people to really appreciate what I'm doing right now and what I look like. And here's Nicole with an out review saying, you know, we could really be using some of that time for better purposes. And she sets the example. That's what I really like about her. Now, if you want to see the entire article and really understand how she's doing it, what she's doing, it's in the Christian Chronicle newspaper. The site is Christian Chronicle, as if it were one word, christianchronicle.org/article/ From Selfies to Selfless Living. Again, From Selfies to Selfless Living. And put dashes between every word in that. So it's FROM-SELFIES-TO-selfless-living. And probably you can just go to christianchronicle.org and look it up. But be motivated. Look at what she's doing and ask yourself a question as I'm asking. If I had more time, where would we want to make more of a difference? Where would our impact be coming from? And you know what? That is exactly what this show is about. So our challenge is what? Our challenge is to use our time the best way we can. And I like to call our time opportunities. Our challenge is to use our time opportunities the best way we can. We have not been dealt the same hand. We don't have the same time restraints. We don't have the same families. We don't have the same work. We don't have the same anything probably. And the challenge is a universal challenge, but the solutions are unique. And the way that I like to look at success is, are we doing the best that we can with our time opportunities? Here's some actions. Some actions that will allow us to maybe take another step forward. First, reflect on the time crunch situation. Are you in the 48% or the 52%? 48%, remember, was those that were time crunched. And are you in the 52%? Would you say I'm in the one that has time? Both of those have opportunities to do better and do more for tomorrow. Also reflect on what vendors or services waste much of your time. Should you consider changes? Just like the story of the TV equipment. Do you have ones that are chronic? And if so, hey, maybe you can think about that and just squeeze a little bit of time out of your life that you can apply elsewhere in a positive direction. And like Nicole, what is your passion to make more of a difference. I might suggest considering what I call FIRM categories, F-I-R-M. Think about what's a high priority in areas of faith, the F. The I is improvement. What areas need to be improved for yourself and for others? What about relationships, the R in FIRM? Faith, improvement, relationships. And there's also improvement in the M, the mandatory things, the things that maybe you don't choose to do, but you have to do. So think of FIRM. Think in those categories, and that will help you maybe isolate where you want to make more of a difference. And finally, an action for today is take one simple step forward to improve your time excellence. One simple step. We've talked about actually quite a few ideas today. And see if any of those inspire you to make a little bit of a change and improve that situation. Because that's what we're about in the Time Excellence Show. Visit us at douglascalvin.com. There you will find webinar links, douglascalvin.com/webinar, where we give free webinars. And we talk about the 7 steps in much more detail. There are free things there. There's the links to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And there are opportunities to share with others. When you comment, when you share, when you retweet, when you friend, when you thumbs up, when you click, when you buy from an affiliate, it supports others in that they can get this information too. They can get what's important to them in this time excellence area. Well, that brings us to the end of our time. Remember, time excellence, where we maximize our time to make more of a difference. I'm Douglas Calvin, and thank you for joining. Until next time.